Well, good evening, everybody. We're really excited to have you and welcome to our virtual CU Anschutz Alumni Series Happy and Healthy Hour. We're grateful for you to be here with us today and connect with your CU Anschutz alumni community and to learn from our amazing community experts at the CU Anschutz Medical Campus. I'm Marnie McKercher, your host tonight, and my husband Todd and I will be cooking right alongside with you. I'm a 2018 graduate with a dual degree DMP MPH through the CU College of Nursing and the Colorado School of Public Health. I'm also proud to represent the CU Nursing Alumni Association as their president-elect. For those of you joining us tonight who are alumni of the CU College of Nursing, the Alumni Association offers many opportunities to connect with your fellow alumni and current students. For our nursing alumni, save the date for our upcoming alumni awards on June 5th. Our alumni office has numerous ways for all alumni from the campus to get engaged. Our alumni team is always happy to help connect you with activities from your college or school, and we will share more at the end of this evening's event on upcoming activities and how to reach out to alumni teams. Before I introduce tonight's experts, I want to draw your attention to the Q&A and chat functions at the bottom of your screen. While we do have time designated at the end of the presentation for Q&A, you are also welcome to enter a question at any time in the Q&A function, especially if you're cooking along. You can send a message to be visible to just the hosts or to all attendees. Additionally, we have alumni team members available on the chat if you need anything during class. I now have the privilege of introducing tonight's speakers. Courtney Kang. Courtney graduated from the University of Northern Colorado with a bachelor's degree in sports and exercise science and dietetics and has been with the Anschutz Health and Wellness Center since August 2019. Courtney has worked as a corporate wellness coordinator, inside King Soopers as an outpatient dietitian, and at a gastrointestinal clinic before providing culinary demonstrations, nutrition education, and fun cooking classes at the Anschutz Health and Wellness Center. Courtney enjoys running, cooking meals at home, and spending time with her husband and 2 young sons. Haley Stevens. Haley's been a registered dietitian with the CU Anschutz Health and Wellness Center since May of 2023. Her experience as a registered dietitian include health coaching, maternal and child health, and community nutrition education. Haley received her degree in nutrition and dietetics from Baylor University in 2016 and a master's of public health from UT Health Houston School of Public Health in 2018. So would you please join me in welcoming Courtney and Haley. Thanks, ladies.
Thank you. We're so excited to be here tonight and cook these delicious recipes with you. We're so glad you're able to join us. If you are cooking along, a few comments before we get started. We're going to start with roasting our veggies. So making sure everything for our recipes are washed. So we've got Brussels sprouts, zucchini, bell pepper, even your lemons, avocado, all that needs to be washed and rinsed. So if you want to get that done, if you haven't done that yet, that's great. You still have time to do it now. Throughout class, I'm going to start with our veggies first. We're going to pop those in our oven because those are going to take the most amount of time. We're going to switch to our salad while those are roasting, and then we'll come back and make our avocado pesto sauce at the very end. I will say too, our red lentil pasta is already cooking. So if you haven't started that yet, you also have plenty of time. You can start boiling some water. I didn't think I needed to demo pasta, so hopefully boiling some water and tossing that in, keeping an eye on your timer when your pasta is done will be great. So Haley, I think are we ready to get started? Yes. Awesome. Haley, actually, before you go, can you show our rotini? We're working with our red lentil pasta here. This is the brand that we choose. We're not sponsored or anything by Brilla. It's just the brand that I like. I actually use it at home. So it's a red lentil pasta. It has twice as much fiber and twice as much protein compared to a regular white pasta. So we really like this addition for adding fiber and protein to our meal tonight. And with that, I'm gonna go ahead and have Haley actually angle my camera down so you'll be able to see our knife skills here. Let me see a little bit more. There we go, perfect. Okay, so like I said, I'm gonna start with our roasted vegetables first. We're gonna get started with our avocado pesto protein pasta recipe. Like I said, our pasta is cooking right now. I'm gonna go ahead and start with our zucchini, bell pepper, and red onion. And our red onion. And also, if you are cooking along, I should say, no, I hate that you can't. I know you can't see me. If you do need us to slow down a little bit, put it in the chat too, and we're very happy to do that also. All right. So first things first, we always talk about knife safety. Anytime we have a cooking class, we always want to put our thumb and our first finger on the blade of your chef knife and wrap our other 3 fingers around. This creates some more stability and you have more control over your blade when you hold it this way. When we put our finger on top of the blade like this, it actually creates some wobbliness and stability. It actually strains this muscle in your forearm here, and it actually puts more strain on your shoulder. So when we talk about even ergonomics and cutting, we always want to have our first finger and our thumb on the blade and wrap the other 3 fingers around. I'm going to start with our zucchini here. I'm going to go ahead and cut the top and the bottom off. I have a little compost bin here. It's always nice to have a garbage bowl or something on your workspace. Our item is quite wobbly and rolly here, so it's always safest to try to get a flat surface as soon as you can when cutting anything. I'm going to cut this in half just to make it a more manageable size. And I'm going to do a bridge cut on my zucchini here. So that means fingers on either side of the blade. And I'm going to cut straight down. Super safe. As long as your fingers are out of the way, it's safe. Now we have our flat edge. So we need a 1/2 inch dice. I'm going to cut this right down the middle again. So kind of quarter in our zucchini here. And I'm going to use a technique that, well, it's called a rocking technique, where we're going to push forward and down with our blade. So it's kind of like a rocking motion. So forward and down, trying to keep the tip of our knife down on the cutting board. Is going to be an important step for safety. Always keep that blade as close to the cutting board as you can. But also, it helps with the control of your blade and the strain it puts on your body. So when we push forward and down using the weight of the back of the knife, it's always safer for us. If we use the tip of our knife, you can already feel it, how your shoulder kind of has to lift up and hold your blade up. That's a lot harder on your shoulder, or to pull back on the blade is harder on your body than pushing forward and down. I'm going to go ahead and put these on my sheet tray right here. It's prepped with some parchment paper. If you didn't have that, you could use aluminum foil and spray it with some olive oil, and that'll help keep things from sticking too. So I'm going to go ahead and run my knife through the rest of my zucchini here. You can double up too, keeping these together. And again, pushing forward and down, forward and down. There we go. Anytime if you needed to scrape your knife on your cutting board, always using the dull side of your knife is going to be the safest and best for your knife. When we scrape the blade side, we kind of risk cutting ourselves right into our hand. Not so safe. Also, it'll dull your knife faster. Also, you can scrape like little bits of plastic, or if you're using a wood cutting board, something like that, it can actually scrape some of that into your food. So we never want to do that. We always want to use the dull side of our blade. Also, it will dull your knife a little quicker too if you do that. All right. So use our bridge technique again. Cut straight down. Here we go. And forward and down, kind of that 1/2 inch dice. There we go. Perfect. I will say too, in this recipe while I'm cutting the zucchini, you could use anything here. If you had leftover mushrooms or something else that you really wanted to use, zucchini is a great option, but it's you don't have to if you don't want to. All right. Moving on to our bell pepper here. You just saw me, I kind of ripped off the stem. It's just an easy way to get it off and kind of work that flat surface. We need another 1/2 inch dice here, kind of to match our size of our zucchini. There's a few different ways to cut bell pepper. I don't think there's any wrong way. I'll demo one, but there's lots of other ways. One I like to use too is cutting off the lobes. So flat side down and kind of go around with your knife and cut off the lobes. That works well. I'm going to demo a different way. I'm going to cut off the top and the bottom here. Again, we have that nice flat surface. I'm going to pop out my stem because we're going to keep everything. Make sure we cut all of this. Go. This bell pepper had 3 lobes on it. I heard this recently too, that there's a male and a female bell pepper. So if you've heard this, it's very not true. But there's a myth going around that if it has 4 or 5 lobes on the bottom, it's a female bell pepper and is supposedly sweeter than a male bell pepper. It's not true if you've ever heard that. So just disregard. Okay, so we got our top and our bottom over here. I did 1 cut straight down our bell pepper. I'm going to turn it on its side. I'm going to try to roll my knife around the inside. And we're going to take all the insides off. Nice and clean. So that it all comes off in one nice piece. And you can just throw that in your garbage bin or compost. Keeping those seeds and kind of the ribs together makes it easier for disposal, and those seeds aren't running all over your kitchen. Which if you were to cut it in half and kind of rip it open, that's what happens. So, okay, same idea here. So, front of our tip of our knife is down. We're going to do some 1/2 inch slices. Those might be closer to 1 inch. 1/2 inch is good, or 1 inch. Cooking is great because we're not baking. So there's a little bit more room for error with cooking rather than baking. Okay, I'm going to get probably 3 or 4 slices together, and we're going to cut straight down again, making that dice. Similar size to what you have for your zucchini. Oh, I almost forgot to mention, our oven is preheating. You will need to preheat your oven to 400 degrees if you have not done that so far. Okay, and cutting our bell pepper too, we always want the skin side down on our cutting board. Pepper skin is actually pretty tough to cut. So always having the flesh side or inside up is going to be easier on your knife and you. So go ahead and cut this. And we'll definitely use everything. So no food waste here. We're going to cut our tops and our bottoms, and we put those right on top too. Bell peppers are super high in vitamin C. I know it's so hard because you can't see your faces. But all the colors of the bell pepper are actually the same plant. It just depends on how long they're on the vine. So green ones are on the vine the shortest, and then they mature to yellow, orange, and then red. And that's why red is sweeter compared to the bitter green ones. So fun fact, can't really ask you if you knew that already. Okay. Our last thing we're gonna get on our pan is our red onion. I know it says we only need half. I might just do the whole thing, we'll see. So I always like to think of onions as the earth or like a globe. So North Pole, South Pole, equator, and prime meridian. So we always, for this recipe especially, we're going to cut our onion down the prime meridian. This is also how I would dice an onion too. So straight down prime meridian. And I know our recipe calls for red onion sliced. So now that we've cut on the prime meridian, I'm going to go ahead and cut off our North Pole. And cutting off that North Pole allows us to really get that top layer off. That here. There we go. All right. And now I am going to cut off our South Pole. And I'm going to go ahead and slice it along, latitudinal lines. So right down the lines that our onion already shows us here. So I'm just going to kind of cut and follow those lines in that 1/2 inch, kind of what we did for our other vegetables here. And all the way around, you can kind of flip it back on its side. Haley's left-handed, so I always have to think about, like I'd have to flip it to my right side, she'd have to flip it to the left. Okay, so we're gonna get these on our sheet pan because we got to get these in the oven. They're gonna take the longest to cook. If you wanted to do your whole onion, nothing bad will happen. Maybe you have a really small red onion. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put our 1 tablespoon of olive oil, just drizzle it on here. If you felt more comfortable putting this all in a bowl, tossing it through, I think that's totally fine. Our recipe says you can do it right on the sheet pan. Just one less thing you have to clean at the end. So we like doing it this way, but you don't have to. I've got my 1 teaspoon of rosemary here, dried rosemary. There we go. And a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper to taste. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my spatula, toss these through, or you can use your hand if you want. For some reason, if it feels like it's just not enough oil or things aren't coating like you would like, you can always grab more olive oil. Again, nothing bad will happen. And we're cooking, we're not baking, so we're not worried about chemical reactions and souffles rising and all that kind of stuff. So There we go. All right. My oven is gonna take a little bit less time than yours. I have this commercial convection oven, so it won't take too long. But yours will probably take about 25-ish minutes, so we'll always want to turn those halfway through. So set that timer for like 12 minutes, toss them, and put them back in for another 12. But I'm gonna go ahead and put these in our oven here. There we go. All right. The next thing I'm gonna prep, and last thing actually for my recipe, and then we're gonna take a quick break. I'm gonna switch everything over to our salad, and Haley's gonna demo that for you. I know, again, it's funny to just watch me talk with my hands. I know how silly that is. Anyway, so we'll take a brief break. You guys can get yourself kitchen organized again, or switch things up, or check your pasta, whatever you need to do. But the only thing else that I'm gonna demo for my protein pasta recipe is chopping garlic. So my key here, I'm gonna hold this to the camera, is to cut off this tough part, the stem at the bottom, or what would have been like where it attached to the clove. The clove would have attached to the head, excuse me. And you're gonna cut that tough part off. That's really the key to getting all that skin off. If you try to slam it on your cutting board or press it through a garlic press before that, it can be a little bit harder to get all that skin off. So I went ahead and cut that little base off. And all I'm gonna do is you can use your blade if you want to, kind of gently tap down on it. I've seen lots of people like put it in a plastic container, shake it, all kinds of stuff. So you can do whatever you'd like. And then the skin should come right off. Oh yeah, we have garlic rollers. There's all kinds of gadgets for getting the skin off of things. So we need two cloves of garlic. Recipe says minced. So we're just gonna do very thin slices, as thin as you can, kind of clawing your fingers around, really not getting the tip of the fingers in the way. And then now we have these kind of like flat, I used to work with a dietitian who called them pages, like pages of garlic, like little sheets of garlic. And you can kind of line them up, lay them down. Ooh, that is hard to see on our camera. Ooh, like this. There we go, that's better. Like that. And I'm just gonna cut those nice and even all the way through. And again, really trying to watch those fingertips. It's always safe to put your top fingers on the blade and run your knife through it, if that's helpful for you. Scrape it off your blade, kind of get everything back together, and then keep pressing through. Totally fine. All right, so we need two. So I'm gonna head and do our other one the exact same way. And for those of you who prepped ahead of time, if you were able to, I hope you're having fun watching. Haley and I always joke, we've taught so many classes together now. There's no shame in buying jarred garlic or jarlic, if you will. It cuts down on time in the kitchen. 1 teaspoon is equal to 1 clove, so it's easily scoopable and tossed in a pot or a pan. Some people say that they can taste the difference. Like Haley's husband swears he can taste the difference, and our chef is also our manager here, and she says she can taste the difference. Okay, maybe, but how much, and is it worth it, and all the things. So whatever works for you, I think, is a beautiful thing in your kitchen. You can always measure garlic with your heart too. I think that's pretty appropriate. All right, so I'm gonna save this for my pesto that we're gonna make in a little bit. And like I said, we're gonna take a really, really quick break. I'm gonna turn off our camera in our video, and oh, you can put it up there. And we'll get started on our Brussels sprout cucumber. Oh my gosh, Brussels sprout Caesar salad. Are there any questions before we kind of transition a little bit? Anything come up that we could answer? Okay. So yeah, as long as everything is rinsed, ready to go for you, I check on your pasta, make sure that's cooking. Usually it's about 8 to 10 minutes here at altitude. If you have that brand of pasta and that red lentil pasta, any pasta would work, it'd be just fine. I think that's it. So as long as no one has any questions that we can answer, we'll turn off our microphone or our camera just really quick, and we'll be right back with a quick swap. Thanks, everyone. Hi, everyone. Haley's washing her hands while we do our quick swap. But I thought I'd ask really fast. I know you can't answer, but I thought I'd just do a real quick cooking technique question. Does anyone know the difference between baking and roasting? So we've got our veggies roasting in our oven here. I'll give you a quick minute to like shout it to yourself in the kitchen really quick. Or Kara, I see your video. Do you want to venture a guess?
I don't know. I was coming up to say there is a question of how long to roast the vegetables. Again, if you could just remind the group.
Sure. Probably in a regular standard oven at home. That's not on a convection setting or not like a quick bake setting. 12 minutes and then toss them and then 12 more minutes. So it should be about 25-ish minutes total. Yeah. But I'm glad that's a good question. That's great for my nutrition trivia. Baking is anything less than 400 degrees. Anything over 400 at that higher temp is really intended more for crisping things. And that higher temperature means we're roasting. Anything less than that is considered baking. So things like cookies, cakes, pies, all that would happen at degree below 400. So, all right. I think Haley's ready to go. Yeah. She's getting gloves on, and you can see her face for a second before I angle the camera down here.
Yes. All right, so we're gonna be doing our Brussels sprout salad here. So get all of those ingredients ready to go. And I'll be demoing how to shred the Brussels sprouts and how to make the dressing. All right, so I have our ingredients here. The first thing I'm going to show you is how to shred our Brussels sprouts. So you can buy pre-shredded Brussels sprouts. I know for sure they have it at not Trader Joe's, Target, because I often get a bag of that. And especially if you're short on time in the evenings, it's an easy thing to throw together, especially with the homemade dressing. So that could definitely be an option, but I'm going to show you tonight how to shred by hand. So just like Courtney mentioned, having your thumb and pointer finger pinching the base of the blade, and then your 3 fingers wrapping around the handle. And we're also going to be doing a bridge cut, and we're going to cut the Brussels sprout lengthwise this way.
Oh, hey, leave that North Pole to South Pole then?
Yes, North Pole to South Pole. All right, so we're going to cut it in half, and now we have our flat edges here. And all we're going to do is we're going to make horizontal small slices all the way across. Now, we're not going to cut through the root just because the root has a much thicker texture. And especially if you're eating Brussels sprouts raw, that texture is really going to show when you're eating something like a salad. Now, if you are roasting Brussels sprouts, keeping that root intact is perfectly fine. So we're going to take our non-dominant hand and form a claw to protect our fingertips around the Brussels sprout. And just like Courtney was doing earlier, we are doing that rocking motion again, keeping the tip of the knife down on the cutting board. We're going to work our way down. And so you have these nice slices. And so when we toss the salad, they should break up into these nice pieces here. I guess I'll keep it down this way. Yeah. So we will continue to do that with the rest of these Brussels sprouts here. Now, Brussels sprouts, similar to the way they look, they are in the cabbage family. And I'm sure I'm not alone in this, but I was not a big fan of Brussels sprouts growing up. And that could definitely be because our taste buds change over time. Now I absolutely love Brussels sprouts, especially raw in a salad like this and roasted with balsamic vinegar. Super good. However, another reason why Brussels sprouts may taste a little bit better nowadays is that back in the 1990s, a Dutch scientist identified the chemical in Brussels sprouts that make them taste really bitter. And he was like, I want to experiment with breeding different varieties. And he was able to successfully breed varieties of Brussels sprouts that were less bitter. So super fun fact there. And Brussels sprouts nutritionally, they're very rich in vitamin C and vitamin K. They also have, per 1 cup of Brussels sprouts, there's about 3 grams of fiber. So excellent source of fiber there as well.
We're gonna talk about fiber a lot more later too.
Yes, if you didn't hear Courtney, she's going to be talking about fiber while she's making pesto a little bit later.
Haley, what family do the Brussels sprouts belong to?
Yes, so the Brussels sprouts belong to cruciferous family, or they're cruciferous vegetables. And the other green in our salad tonight is arugula. And so type in the chat the answer to this question if you'd like to participate. True or false, arugula, which I may have answered the question, but I'll give it to you. Arugula, true or false, is closer in relation to spinach than cabbage. So arugula is actually closer in relation to cabbage than spinach, even though it looks like a typical leafy green here. So pretty neat. Arugula is going to offer a nice sort of bitter, a little spicy flavor to it, and it pairs really nicely with acid, which is going to be our lemon juice tonight. So once we have our Brussels sprouts and arugula mixed together, we're going to work on our dressing. This is a pretty simple dressing that we're making tonight. I am going to zest and juice our lemon first. Before juicing the lemon, it's nice to roll it back and forth under the heel of your hand. This will help once you get to juicing your lemon, help release the juice a bit more. Now, our lemons tonight are humongous. So if you have a good sized lemon like us, the recipe does call for 2 medium-sized lemons, but I am just going to do 1. And then what you can do is taste test and see if you'd like to add a bit more lemon juice. All right, so we are going to zest our lemon. I have a microplane here. Now, if you don't have one of these on hand, you could use do it. Yes, box grater. What you would use for cheese. But we have a microplane here, and the way that you zest any sort of citrus fruit is you'll hold the microplane in your non-dominant hand and then the fruit in your dominant. Now, we are just gonna want to get the yellow part of the skin. That's what holds all of the nice lemon fragrance and flavor. If you get down to the white part of the skin, that is more bitter. And so it's not going to taste as good. So keep that in mind as you're zesting. You don't want to press down too hard. Just go back and forth lightly around the lemon.
Like beautifully bald lemons. That's what I always say in the kitchen. Just barely that top of the lemon off, and then that's enough.
Yes. Now, when you're making homemade dressing, there's a bit of a formula to follow. So it's usually includes oil, acid, and emulsifier, and then whatever flavoring that you prefer for the type of dressing that you're making. Tonight, our oil is going to be extra virgin olive oil. Our acid is going to be our lemon juice, and then our emulsifier is Dijon mustard. Now, the reason why we need emulsifiers in our salad dressings is because similarly to what we learned in science class, oil and water do not mix. And so we need something that is going to help to get those molecules to mix really well together. And so what emulsifiers do is they coat the molecules of the oil, and it really helps the vinegar or lemon juice or whatever acid that you're using to mix really well into it. Now, another thing that you can do to get that oil and water to mix together is sort of agitating the dressing. And that's what we'll be doing tonight with our whisk. All right, so we have our lemon zested here. And so now we're going to juice it. We are going to cut our lemon in half along the equator. Do another bridge cut here, holding either side of the lemon, push down. And then I have a juicer here. You're welcome to use your hand to squeeze, or if you don't have a juicer on hand, you can put a fork in the middle and move it back and forth to really get that juice out as you're squeezing. So we're gonna put the lemon in, cut side down into our juicer. It doesn't feel as intuitive as putting it this way, but that's the way we need to do it. So we're gonna press down. It may take a little bit of effort, a little bit of a workout here to squeeze it.
I offered Haley a smaller lemon. She said she wanted this challenge.
Yes,
Take some muscles.
I'm missing my workout this evening. I gotta get it done. All right, we're gonna put the other half in here. This may be a little bit too big, but we'll make it work.
Nice work, Haley.
Thank
Super strong. We need all that vitamin C. Get it out of there.
Yes. All right, so we have our lemon juice and zest now. And we are ready to put together our dressing. So we are going to save our oil for last here. And that I will share with you later. But we will go ahead and add in our lemon juice and zest first. And then we are going to add in our Parmesan cheese, grated.
If you have a shredded Parmesan, it doesn't work as well. It'll still be fine, but it won't be as smooth as this grated Parmesan cheese is.
Yes, and if you do have this shredded, you could like roughly chop it before
Yeah.
throwing it in. That could help as well. We're gonna do 3/4 teaspoon of black pepper. And then we have our emulsifier, our Dijon mustard here. Some other emulsifiers are things like yogurt. Honey is also a very common emulsifier in dressings as well. All right, now the reason why I am adding in our extra virgin olive oil here last is because we are going to add it in slowly to really help incorporate it and mix it into the other ingredients. So I'm gonna mix in the other ingredients just a little bit before adding it, and then I will add it in while I'm whisking it. Very slowly. And you can add a little bit, whisk, add a little bit, whisk. And tonight we are using extra virgin olive oil. Now you can definitely use regular olive oil. The reason we're using extra virgin is because it's less processed than regular olive oil, so it'll maintain the antioxidants found in the olive oil. And it has a little bit of a better flavor than regular olive oil, but it's recommended not to use it for cooking because it has a lower smoke point. And so we always recommend using that regular olive oil for cooking, and then saving the extra virgin olive oil for things like this that we're not going to be cooking. All right, so our dressing's pretty well mixed. Now, if you were to make this salad ahead of time and you want to save it, say, for lunch the next day, I definitely recommend storing the dressing in your fridge separately from your salad, just because the salad is going to get pretty wilted if you were to keep the wet ingredients in there. So if you're wanting, you for sure know you're going to save it for leftovers tonight. I would recommend setting this off to the side, putting it in another container. And then whenever you sit down to eat your salad, you can just add a little bit and mix it together on your plate. All right, so that is our salad here. Anyone have any questions before we move over to the pesto?
I'm gonna wash my hands. Do you have any trivia you wanna do real quick?
Let's see. Oh, another fun fact about arugula is that it is high in beta carotene. And beta carotene is an antioxidant that is found in a lot of orange foods, so like sweet potatoes. However, the reason why it's not orange is because the chlorophyll found in the plant overpowers the color of the beta carotene. So I thought that was pretty neat. All right, I am going to briefly turn off our camera and mute ourselves while we turn our station back over for Courtney.
If you need to grab your food processor for your pesto, I would grab that too. And yeah, oh, my veggies are done. Here, I'll show those to you real quick. I already kind of bunched them up, but so our veggies are roasted and they're very bright in color. They have a little burnt on the edge, which I like, but if you don't like that, don't do that. But I like it, and add a little bit of crunch to our pasta dish here. So these are done. I'm just gonna set them off to the side. And like Haley said, we'll turn off our camera real quick and we'll be right back in like 30 seconds. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Before we get started, I just wanted to show everyone my ripe avocado here. When we talk about picking an avocado, we want to make sure it's pretty dark. So when they're bright green, they're usually not ready to be cut. So making sure you leave them on your counter. If you leave them next to a banana or in a paper bag, will actually ripen a little bit faster. So that can help. The banana sets off some gas as it matures and ripens. It actually helps your avocado ripen too. So it's super soft. If I push to the touch, it kind of bounces back just a little bit. So we're all going to cut into this together and see if it's good. It's always a mystery with avocados. Okay, so I think this is the only thing left to prep. I saved it for the end because I didn't want it to oxidate and turn brown on us while we waited. So otherwise, I've got my rinsed basil here, which we'll talk about, avocado, spinach, lemon juice, our garlic from before, and walnuts. Oh, I'm so sorry about this too. I know your recipe says walnuts in the ingredients, and in the instructions it says pine nuts. I don't know how we didn't catch this. If you have either or you want to go nuts, food pun intended, and use both, everything is going to be fine. And you can use whatever you have on hand, or either one, whatever you have is totally fine. So we'll go ahead and get started. All right. Okay, yeah, I'll angle my camera down real quick. Okay, beautiful. So first thing you'll notice about our avocado, one, I know you can't notice it, but it is washed. I hear this a lot, don't I? Why do I have to wash my avocado? I hear this because when we cut into the skin, we take whatever's on the skin into the flesh of that fruit or whatever it is that you're cutting. And so it's very important that even though we're not eating the skin, we are going to eat that flesh part. So making sure that you rinse this underwater for about 20 to 40 seconds, or any produce that you use, is going to help with that. So I always tell people, think about if my two young boys ran through the grocery store and touched your avocado, which, you know, and then you go home and you don't wash it, you're getting all my little boy or whoever else touched it, and you're going to cut right through that avocado and bring those bacteria, viruses, germs, whatever, onto your avocado. So we get that question a lot, actually. Okay, next thing I'll tell you about too is we never want to cut an avocado in our hand. I think this is a very popular thing. I don't know what field you're in, obviously, but if you do work in the ED, you might have seen avocado hand come through your doors. And that's a really common thing I hear. So we're really trying to talk to people about putting the avocado down on your cutting board, and cutting it here is much safer than cutting it in your hand. So you can do it a couple different ways. You can put it on your board and kind of roll it around your knife. I like to just hold it and just cut it down, just like we dice everything else. Just kind of roll it around this way. And again, fingers out of the way and twist this off. Ooh, we got lucky. That's a pretty good one. Okay. You can pop out your seed here, or the pit, not this way. So again, we're not trying to slam a blade towards our hand here and potentially missing. You can either grab a spoon and scoop it out. I think this one might be right. You can even just kind of pop it out. No knife needed for that. So you can do that as well. You can always use a spoon to scoop it out if you wanted to. For our recipe, you could do that. You can try your fingers. Honestly, if I didn't have gloves on, I would probably do that, but it just makes it messy. So you can do it this way with a spoon. And again, no knife needed is always better, especially when you talk about your hands. Going to the ED takes forever, all the things. All right, so we've got our avocado out here. I know you can't hear me, unless you want to drop it in the chat. Does anybody know what the serving size is of an avocado? I know you all thought it to yourself. Serving size is 1/3 of an avocado. When I started and I was studying nutrition, it was 1/5 of an avocado, and I've seen it go to 1/4, and now it's 1/3. So we're all very grateful that it's 1/3 of an avocado is a serving. It's a beautiful thing. Avocados are rich in fiber, and they have about 3 grams of fiber per serving, which is pretty amazing. So like Haley said before, we're always looking for sources of fiber. Those are really whole grains, plants, nuts, seeds, fruits, vegetables, all those wonderful things. But the truth is, not Americans get enough amount of fiber. And actually, you can guess at home too, I suppose. You can guess the percentage of people who get enough fiber. It is 5% of Americans get the recommended amount of fiber, which is 25 grams for women a day and 38 grams for men a day. So including more foods like our red lentil pasta, our vegetables that we roasted, this beautiful Brussels sprout arugula salad that we have are all great options that are very high in fiber and trying to reach that goal. All right, while I was talking there, I was just picking the stems off my basil here. Storing basil at room temperature is always going to prolong their life. Anytime we have basil, the enemy is the refrigerator. It says it on the label. The stores don't store it in the refrigerator either. And that's because it will actually make it turn brown and that dark black or moldy sometimes if it's out too long. So what I tell people is the second you get that basil home, open the plastic container, wrap your basil in paper towel, and leave that package cracked open so that it has air to circulate. It's not absorbing any of that moisture, because that's what turns your basil black and dark, which is also taking off a little bit of those too. Okay, and yeah, using or buying basil like literally 12 hours before you use it is a good general rule. A day ahead of time is good too. But so we've got about a cup of basil here. So I'm gonna go ahead and put all of our ingredients into my food processor here. So we're gonna go ahead and follow our recipe. So we've got our medium avocado. Pop that in. There we go. We've got 2 cups of fresh spinach. So again, we've got some fiber, vitamin K, helps with our blood clotting, all those great things. Our 2 cloves of garlic that we minced. I know, I hear this too. Why did we mince it? It's gonna go in the food processor. Well, sometimes our food processor can't catch like those smaller items. And so pre-chopping, it just helps our food processor along a little bit. I've got 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, 2 tablespoons extra virgin olive oil. And again, just like Haley said, we're not heating it to a high temp. It's just going to be in one of our sauces. So it's a good choice to use. Also, if you have avocado oil, you want to use flaxseed oil, walnut seed oil, all those things are beautiful and would be great in here. And then we have 1 cup of basil. And your walnuts or pine nuts or whatever you prefer to use is going to be great. So chop those up in there. Or if you need to make it nut-free for yourself, you can totally make it nut-free. Yeah. When you make pesto for yourself.
Can I interrupt with a quick question? Someone forgot their basil. So how much dried could they substitute?
This is a great question. So if you have only have dry basil, you might not have enough. It's going to be about a 1/3 cup of basil would be your substitute. So anytime we substitute a dry for a fresh, it's a 1-to-3 ratio. So because dried is more concentrated, it's the smaller amount. So if we had 1 tablespoon, let's say, of fresh basil, it'd be 1 teaspoon dried basil. Because 3 teaspoons equals 1 tablespoon. Yeah. Okay. And we're at a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper to our food processor here. Where's my pepper? It's missing. It's over here. And honestly, you could use it. I've actually never tried making pesto with dried basil, but I can imagine it would still be fun. So if you make it, yeah, Haley says it'd be fine. If you make it, let us know in the chat how it turns out. I would love to hear that. All right, you shouldn't be able to hear my food processor, but if you do, it might be loud. So here we go. It does blend it very well. We're gonna end up with this beautifully bright green sauce to coat our pasta and our vegetables with here. I'm just gonna scrape down the sides. While I do that too, walnuts are rich in ALA or alpha linolenic acid, which is a type of omega-3. It's the plant-based omega-3. And actually, it is studies have been showing that it's just as effective as reducing your risk for heart disease, just like its adds its animal counterpart. So things like EPA and DHA that we find in fish, eggs, that type of thing. So walnuts are the only nut that it's a significant source of that ALA. So anytime we can use those walnuts is a good option for us. All right, I'm going to blend this one more time. I just scrape down the sides one more time on. Okay. All right. Let's see. I need to scrape this one more time. I might need to. I just grabbed our pasta while that was blending too. I'm gonna scrape this one more time. I just see some big chunks of spinach in here. Just gonna get those down. I do love spinach. Vitamin E actually in spinach and other dark leafy greens has been linked to increasing oxygen to our brain. So I always kind of think about when I eat it. It's helping me think better. I'm sure that's true. Okay, here we go. Last time. All right, I think it's done now. Okay, so I've got my pasta here that I pre-cooked. I'm gonna take my veggies that were on that parchment paper. Just gonna flip them right into my bowl here. There we go. It is easy cleanup. Parchment is a great thing to use in the kitchen. Then you don't have to scrape that pan as much. All right, so I've tossed veggies and my noodles together. I'm gonna take off my sauce. Ooh. Maybe. There we go. Okay, remove your blade very carefully. Here's a quick tip too. True or false, you should never put sharp blades in the dishwasher.
False.
Haley says false. Yeah, we never want to put sharp blades like your chef knife, food processor blade, anything like that, because the high heat in your dishwasher will actually dull that blade faster. So always want to hand wash those. I know it's such a pain, but it's safer for your knife and make it last a little bit longer. Okay, so I think I've scraped all my sauce into here. Go ahead and toss this through. And we'll have our beautiful pesto protein pasta with roasted vegetables. You'll notice too, right? There's no meat in our dish for our protein. So we kind of focused on those red lentil noodles being our protein source. And per serving, we're still looking at 19 grams of protein, which is a good amount. We've got a lot of fiber. We're going to keep full, stay full, feeling satiated a lot longer when we have that fiber and some protein on board. So you can always top it off with some Parmesan cheese if you want to. Serve it next to your Brussels sprout arugula salad, and it will definitely keep you full. Or maybe this is your Meatless Monday recipe, or whatever you choose to use it for. Or if you only had a white pasta and you really want to add chicken or whatever you have on hand, hey, that's a great thing. Whatever you want to do to make your meal really well balanced with all the 5 food groups is a great thing. All right, I'm going to turn that up. And I'll plate one for us so we can see. You wanted to serve it in one bowl, which Haley and I kind of like to do. Yeah. So, and if if I had a volunteer, you get lots of volunteers for classes and stuff. I always like to make them try things on camera. So I guess I can make Haley try it on camera. And yeah.
Oh, I'd love to try it. This is one of
This is
our
one of our
favorite
favorites,
recipes
right?
to try.
Yeah. So good portion here. I'm going to put our salad actually right next to it on the bowl. So we'll have this very bright green, beautiful plate here. And let's see, we could go through our 5 food groups and see if we have them. Let's see. Oh, you all can't shout it out from home, can you? It's so sad. Let's see, vegetables. They're all over the place. We got roasted onions, bell pepper, arugula, fruit. Oh, we could stretch this. Botanically, our avocado is a fruit. It has a seed. Same thing technically with peppers, they have seeds too. But how they function in our body, the pH of the fruit or the vegetable itself kind of dictates if we consider it a fruit or vegetable. Fruit, vegetable, grains, we're going to go with our pasta here. Our protein sources are lentils. And if we wanted to include dairy or like some cheese on top, that would count. So I think that was all 5. Yeah. So all 5 in one bowl. All right. Haley, you want
Courtney, we have a quick question on whether or not the meal contains a complete protein.
Oh, this is a great question. You know what? I'm trying to think. Because lentils technically aren't a complete protein source, but when we pair them with other things, like if you were to eat a cracker with this, it would count as a complete protein source. So what the key thing with complete proteins too is it has to have all 9 essential amino acids in the correct or adequate amounts for it to count as a complete protein source. And what we've seen is that it doesn't have to even be eaten at the same meal. It has to be eaten throughout that day. So it used to be you had to eat beans with rice or beans with tortilla or something at that same meal. But now we know that you don't have to eat them at the same time. So while this might not have a complete protein source technically in it, I'm sure something that you've eaten already throughout the day will make this a complete protein source. Does that make sense? Other complete protein sources that are plants, soy products, so edamame, soy milk, those count as a complete protein. And actually, this is the latest new one, and I'm only gonna say this because I got so excited. Pistachios, they actually just did some studies and found that pistachios count as complete protein sources too for plant-based. Obviously, animal products would already be a complete source of protein. Any other questions? We have 4 minutes. And Haley hasn't even taken her bite yet.
Oh, yes.
Oh, no. Taste it and make sure it tastes good. Do we do it right?
Yes.
Oh,
very
thank
good.
goodness. Whew. I was worried.
I have another question that asks, I soak my fruits and veggies in water and some white vinegar. Is that necessary?
It's actually not necessary. And I just read another study and another article on this exact topic. It doesn't show that vinegar, soaking them in anything like that, or those fruit sprays I don't want to drop the brand name. I think it's Fit Fruit, something. Actually, there's more studies warning against those, that those aren't tested either. And so they're very unnecessary, and water still is the best way to rinse off fruits and vegetables. Pesticides, germs, all the things, water still is the best. Organic, non-organic, all the things, water's still the best. Please still wash your organic produce. They definitely still use pesticides, manures, all the things. So I think a lot of people think that because it's organic, they don't need to rinse it, but you definitely do. Any other questions we can answer? Anybody make the food? Does anything taste good yet? Marnie, did you make yours? Oh, okay, did it turn out well?
Unmute. Oh, it's good. I can't
Okay.
wait to eat it.
Good, I'm glad.
And it
Anybody
was a
else?
whirlwind. I'm going to acknowledge for everybody on here that it's always a whirlwind, right? Even if you prep a little bit, it's a bit of a whirlwind. But you guys give so much great information as we go along.
We're
So,
really happy here tonight.
so I'm going to go ahead and close this out here. And want to say what a wonderful presentation. I enjoyed it so much. And can't wait to eat it. So on behalf of our attendees tonight and CU Anschutz alumni, I want to thank Courtney and Haley for sharing their expertise with us. You guys are great at being able to talk, give information while you're cooking. I think we're all very impressed.
Well, thank you so much for having us. We really enjoyed our time tonight.
Yes.
It's
Right.
awesome.
So
Also,
much.
Courtney and Haley mentioned there is a discount available for their Fresh Take program for tonight's attendees. This information on the slide will also be included in the post-event email. Thank you to Courtney and Haley for extending this discount. Such a great option. Before we close this evening, I want to share a couple of upcoming events for our alumni community. Additionally, the CU Medical Alumni Association will be hosting a night on Broadway, MJ the Musical. We will share information on both of these events. Oh, sorry. Colorado School of Public Health is hosting their annual Fired Up Alumni Talks at the Blue Moon Brewery. So we'll be sharing both of these events in a post-event email. And thank you all, everybody who's on this, for joining us tonight. We appreciate you tuning in, and all of you as healthcare professionals for your campus and community. So with that, have a great evening. If you cooked it, go eat it, enjoy it, and we hope to see you soon.
Bye, everyone. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Go enjoy your food. Good night.